Hello and welcome to The Productive Writer. I'm Sean McLaughlin and this is episode 6. Sorry I've been gone for the last couple of weeks, but I got really busy with some projects and it's still locked down here, so I've been keeping myself sane by writing a lot. Things are getting a little better here in Madrid. It's week 9, 10, something like that. Some restrictions have been eased. I've been able to get a haircut. It needs to be brushed a bit, but whatever. And the bookstores are open. I got to go to my favorite bookstore, Desperate Literature, here in downtown Madrid. If you ever come to Madrid, definitely check out that bookstore. It's a great place. And bought a couple of books and helped them out. And it was really nice to be able to actually browse in a store again. Of course, I had to wear a mask and get my hands sanitized before I could enter, but at least things are getting a little bit more back to normal. Now then, for today, I want to talk about self-editing. Editing your stuff before you send it in. Now, there are a few things you need to remember with this. The first thing is that you will never catch all your mistakes, no matter what you do. I am willing to bet that if you read any book that's recently been published carefully enough, you will find typos. So don't worry about perfection. As I've said before, perfect is the enemy of good. Do the best you can. No editor is going to expect your manuscript to be 100% perfect. No reader is going to expect your manuscript to be 100% perfect. But of course, you should strive to get it as good as you can. So, what can you do? Once you have finished a story or an article or a book or whatever it happens to be that you're working on, the best thing to do, if you given the time, if you don't have a tight deadline, is to set it aside for a little bit. Wait for a week or a month, no more than that, because you want to keep it still roughly fresh in your mind. And then come back and look at it with a fresh set of eyes, and you'll find all sorts of typos. Once you've done that, I would say get it to some beta readers. Now, beta reader is just somebody, some regular person, not a professional, who reads your story and sees what they think about it. And getting a few of those would be best. 3 or 4 is generally what I get. Now, what you need to do is find people who are not your best friends or your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You want people who give you honest opinions. Your boyfriend or your sister-in-law or your best friend forever is going to want to make you feel good. Is going to want to say all sorts of nice things about your manuscript, and they're not that helpful, really. Now, you want to find preferably some people who are enjoy reading the genre that you're writing in and are willing to give you an honest opinion. Now, what do you do with those honest opinions? Well, the typos are typos. There's nothing to argue about. Just fix those. But when you have somebody says, oh, well, I don't think this chapter really works, or I don't think this character is really believable, you take that into consideration, but don't immediately change everything. Now, if you have 5 beta readers and 4 of them say chapter 3 doesn't work, you probably need to work on chapter 3. But if only one says it's a problem, well, use your judgment. It is your story. So let them go through it, work through their critiques, then let it sit again, and then do another pass. And then, and only then, send it in. As I said before, you don't have to worry about the manuscript being perfect. I have had something like 15 or 16 books published by traditional publishers, as well as hundreds of articles. And I am sure every single one of those submissions had a typo in it. I would be willing to bet $1,000 on that. 10,000. It's guaranteed. And none of them got rejected. I have never in my 20 years in this business gotten a letter back from an editor saying, well, I found 5 typos, and so I'm not going to accept your article. Never happened. Never will happen. And of course, if you send in an article that's got a typo in every sentence, that's something different. But you do want to reduce the number of typos, because one of the keys to this business that you need to know is that editors are all overworked. If you send them clean copy, you're making their job easier for them, and they're going to like you. They're going to hire you, and they're going to rehire you, more importantly. So you need to do that. Now, what about indie publishing, where you are coming out with your own stuff? This is what I do for most of my fiction. My nonfiction is all traditionally published, regular publisher. My fiction is mostly, not entirely, but mostly indie published. Now, there you don't have a professional copy editor at the editing house doing everything for you. So you need to do it yourself. Now, you can hire an editor. There are a lot of good copy editors out there that you can find. Find one with personal recommendation, look through their CV, see what experience they have. Really helps if they've worked on a newspaper. Newspaper copy editors are sharp because they have a lot of work to do and they have a lot of copy to go through. They get a lot of experience really quickly. So if you can find somebody with newspaper experience, those are the best. Now, I'm talking about copy editors now. Those are the people you want. There's a certain type of editor out there now called the developmental editor, and these folks say they will help. They're also called book doctors. They say that they will help you write your book, and it will find the right way to go forward and advise you on characters and story. No, you don't need that. If you're a real writer, you don't need somebody to tell you how to write your characters or how to write your plot. What I would suggest is save your money. Don't hire these people. They're hucksters. Do it yourself. And if your book doesn't work out very good the first time, because my first novel wasn't very good, to be perfectly honest, it never saw the light of day, and it didn't deserve to. It was practice. So you learn from your mistakes for the first one, and then you go on to the second one, and that one did get published. You just practice. You don't need somebody looking over your shoulder and rewriting everything you do. Because a lot of these developmental editors or book doctors that I've seen have no real experience that I can see. They might have worked as an editor at a publishing house, but in what capacity? It's often quite vague. They don't have any books published of their own. They're just not really qualified to be giving you advice in the first place, and this is advice you don't need. So avoid book doctors, avoid developmental editors. You do not need them. Copy editor is another thing, because everybody makes mistakes, and you need a professional who can look through this stuff and find these things. But they won't catch everything either. I've had a few horror stories with copy editors who actually added mistakes. So you have to be careful who you pick. Sadly, with traditional publishers, you don't get to pick them. But the important thing is to make sure that your work is edited and get it as clean as possible. Now, you do not need, if you're going to send something in traditionally, do not hire a copy editor. Do not hire a developmental editor. Do not hire a book doctor before sending the manuscript in. I see a lot of chat on the boards about people hiring copy editors to clean up their manuscript before sending it in. You don't need to do that. Like I said, I've never gotten a rejection because I had typos in a submission. Get it as clean as you can. Have some beta readers go through it and get it as clean as you can. And that's all you need. Oh, another thing that I have found that works very well for beta readers, if assuming you're writing in English, find somebody whose English is not their native language, but they have become fluent. Some professional or a scientist or just somebody who's been living in the English-speaking world for a long time and has really good English. If you can get them to read it, because they read English differently than you and I do. We assume we know what we're seeing. They actually look more closely because while they're fluent, it's still a foreign language to them. And they will find typos a lot better than native speakers will. It's remarkable, assuming they do have a very high level of fluency in English. So try to find one of them. Those are good. That's about all I have for this talk today. Just to remember, always work through your work. Try to give some time between writing and going back to it. And as I said before in an earlier post, don't go through a million drafts. Once it's done, it's done. I've noticed a lot of writers get bogged down doing multiple drafts when they're really not changing all that much and they're not improving their work. Get it down as good as you can the first time, edit it, clean it up, add a bit of depth if you want to, and then get it out there. And then work on the next one, because it's all about practice. What you really need to do is keep writing and keep writing and keep writing and edit what you write. So until next time, and I will try to get in sometime next week now that the workload's easing up a bit. And I will see you next time for episode 7. Keep on writing.